Alright, welcome back everyone to A Programmer Plays Cave Story Plus. This will probably be our last episode of this, because I am assuming that we're right at the end of the game. I might be wrong, but probably not. We'll see. I'll look foolish if we get to the end of this episode and it's not the end of the game. I'll leave this in, either way. So, before we get started, I did want to talk about something, because I've been thinking about this. So we've got a parallax effect here on this start screen, right? Parallax is where you've got multiple layers of images that move at different rates, and their movement gives the illusion of depth, because the things in the far background move slower. It feels like they're further away, even though realistically, or not realistically, in practice, they're all just pixels. They're all, there is no depth happening here. But because these dark clouds here are moving slower, it makes the whole thing feel like it's got, 4 layers, or 5 layers if you include the stars. Here's an interesting thing, though. I think these layers are specifically hided to avoid a thing that can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, which is transparency. Transparency in games is actually a lot harder than you would think it is, because it introduces all kinds of problems. Now, this is not a situation where that should be all that difficult. There's nothing particularly complex happening here, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that these images, rather than being a color and transparent, they're a color and the color behind them. Because if you look at the top of each layer, it's always just barely below the bottom of the layer before it, at least in terms of the actual profiles. So if we look at this spot right here, that just barely ducked under here. See? And we can see the same thing. Here's the high spot. That's going to just barely dip under the low spot there. So most likely, just for the sake of not having to deal with transparency, these are actually fully opaque images that are just 2 tones, and that works. I don't really know why you would do that here, but I was thinking about it overnight. I was like, why did he do that? But he did, and that's fine. That's interesting, at least to me. So, with all that, totally useless observation out of the way, let's hop in. So, we are at the bottom of a large L-shaped area. It's, a hallway with a turn in it. Oh boy. I have somehow managed to forget the controls in the 12 hours it's been since I last played. Was I always able to just hold down the trigger? Yeah, I was. Alright, so we are in trouble because that ate up a lot of my very limited health. Okay, so we've got a way that we can go here, but we could also go up. So let's go up first. Nice. Okay, so those are probably there specifically so that you can repower your weapons. Into the road! Interesting that we don't actually have a fall animation, we've just got a fall frame. Which is probably also one of our running frames. I really probably should have tracked down the sprite sheet for this game and sort of analyzed it. Gosh, I really don't like having 13 health and going into what feels like probably the final boss. So, let's see if those hearts came back. They did. Phenomenal. Oh, there's also ammo over here. Nice. I don't think I need ammo. No, we're good. We just need health. So, tell y'all what, I'm going to pop back and forth a couple times and recover my health. Alright, here we are, full health, ready to roll. Let's see what we got. Yep. It's you again. You really are tenacious. To destroy the core, is that why you're here? Before I thought you were just a reckless little robot, but I underestimated you. You should know I have no regrets about this island. It is my fate to obey the one who wears the crown. Prepare yourself. Oh, okay. Ah! First try. Ugh. Defeated Misery. Okay, cool. Alright, you know what? Ooh, no, we can't. I was gonna say, let's go replenish our health and save, but looks like that's not an option. Oh. What's up, y'all? The doctor's afraid of us. That's why he put us in jail. There's no mistaking it. Hey, you're the traveler I met a while back in my house. You've come to save me? Sure, man. Alright, don't love the idea of going into this fight with 15 health, but I kind of don't see a way around it. Finally, it's complete. Mimiga become enraged when we introduce the red flower as a form of medication. Its cause is rather simple. The red flower brings out latent abilities. Not only this, but it also contains a compound that destroys one's reasoning. And now I have successfully extracted and intensified it. Which is this. The red crystal. And this red crystal, it works on humans as well. Amazing. Do you understand how extraordinary this is? You don't understand, do you? Well then, I will give you a very special lecture now. Ooh, I hate that we're going into this fight with freaking so little health. Ah! Oh, no! The power is out of control! Woo! Cutting it close. Wah! Gosh, he juiced himself. Defeated the doctor. And the crystal just, like, pieced out? What? Alright, guys, do you have... Not bad at all. You did well. I feel a little like a celebrity. Sue? Yeah, I know her. That girl looks like a Mimiga, but is really human, isn't she? Well, my eyes can't be fooled. She's not here, though. Do you guys have any health? Please, God. Do you remember me? I lost my key in Bushlands. Gotcha. Yeah, that doctor's a bad guy. He's a bad guy who did a real number on me. I'm glad that I opted to go for the blow him up with missiles approach. Because, oof. Another boss fight? Hold it right there. Stay away from the core if you care for this one's life. For a robot, you seem to have human emotions. You are different from the others who came here many years ago. Do think that the new king was defeated by you. Even so, we'll make a deal. You can fall to your doom with the island, or you can forget about everything here and leave. If you leave here right now, I will guarantee her life. Otherwise... Huh? I won't let you escape. Who's there? Heh. Already forgotten your master's voice. Ha! The power of the red crystal is incredible. Even now I feel so alive. Although my body has succumbed, my consciousness is clear. Interesting that she moved just then. It feels as if I have become a superhuman. Unbelievable. What's wrong, misery? Is this form dreadful? Ugh, those who cheat death, disappear. You can't be helped. Those foolish enough to forget their master need not free will. Misery, until the day you die, you will be my puppet. Ah! Quite make out what her sprite is at this point, but kind of reminds me of a puppet a little bit. Hey, we gotta go. Huh? Now she looks like a freaking, what is Fran from Final Fantasy XII? Viera. Viera? Yeah, that sounds right. I won't let you leave here alive. Oh, that's cool. I like the red skull inside the core. Gosh, I am gonna have to... Jesus. Ooh, I need that health. Alright, we're doing better than we started. I just got misery out of the equation? I am making a lot of mistakes that I can't afford. Like that. No! Oh! Alright, give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Alright, we got decently close. Boy, is this really... Damn! Oh! That's a long way to go back. And it's not like we can get any further upgrades at this point. Like, we're at as high a level with our health and everything as we're gonna get, I think. Oof. Man, what a gauntlet. I'm a little surprised that this game would go for this. Part of me is like, I should farm the little summons she makes before I end this fight. In order to replenish, you know, lost health and stuff. Shit. Oh, that's embarrassing. Alright, let's see if we can power through this fast enough to grab that heart. Come on! Oh no, come on! The dang victory jingle stopped me from getting her. Alright, we're doing way better in terms of having health to fight him, which hopefully will carry over to the final boss. We'll see. Yeah, red crystal. Alright, he doesn't have that much health. Great to not be missing so much. There we go. Alright. Handled that boss just fine. So now it's just actual boss. Alright. Boss fights 1, 2, and 3 down. On to boss fight number 4. Going in with 28 health. That's pretty doable. 10 rockets, which is less than I'd like, but, you know, it's fine. Let's actually do focus on misery here, I think. Sue's pretty handleable. But misery's a problem, because misery's adding just a lot of noise to the fight. Yes, the noise is like adding ammo and health drops, which I want, but at the same time, I think we just got misery taken care of. Well, you want to bet that there's some sort of dialogue difference if you manage to do this without defeating Sue. Hey, we did it without defeating Sue. Nice. Is she gonna auto die? Looks like she did. You destroyed the undead core. The helicopter's good to go. Ooh, that noise is a bit much. Fuel level sufficient. We can depart anytime. Never thought I never would have thought that we'd be able to safely get to the surface. I wonder if those kids are safe or not. An earthquake? Something has happened to the core. Oh no. The island's starting to collapse. At this rate, it's only a matter of time until this area collapses too. Anyway, we need to escape. Anyway. The anyway there feels like maybe a a little bit of a translation thing. It just feels out of place, you know? This way! You'll be squished if you don't run fast enough. I wonder if that's true. Part of me wanted to jump into that house and see if it still had a save point in it. Ooh. Oh no, it's a dead end. We have to jump. I don't want to be smashed by the stones. Can you do it? Come on, jump as far as you possibly can. This island is falling. It's too dangerous to wait any longer. We need to leave now. Oh, the dragons. The bushlands. The labyrinth. No, that's Sandlands. This is the labyrinth. Plantation. Man, this really sends me back to, like, Sonic and Knuckles. It occurs to me that this game's probably closer to the release of Sonic and Knuckles than it is to now. Hey! Kazuma catches you. Wow. I didn't think you were really going to do it. You destroyed the core. We probably won't be seeing the doctor a second or a third time thanks to you. Peace remains. Let's go home. Hey. We got the normal ending. The credits are just the characters. Sometimes reliable brother, Kazuma Sakamoto. Oh, I didn't know the booster was the grandfather. Alright. The bot has a name? Their names are the Colons. This key art here is very cute. King looks so much like he's going to stab the shit out of us. Monsters? Do I have control here? No, okay. Leaps and hops, critter. For every cave, a bat. This is just fast enough that I don't think I could read it and keep up. This does actually highlight how this game's got pretty good enemy variety. Like, considering that it's a pretty small game. Like, this is episode 5. We've beaten this game in under 5 hours, and that's with me dying there at the end. Like, this is a lot of enemies to have in the game. Multiple unique enemies per area. It's also kind of a lot of bosses, considering how short the game is. Yeah. We never met the red ogre. So, did we? I don't remember a red ogre. Daisuke Amaya. So yeah, this game is really interesting from like a hey, they get changed back into humans. Oh, or maybe not. This game's really interesting in that it came out in a time that was kind of not great for the genre. There weren't a lot of Metroidvanias in the early 2000s, 2010s. I misspoke earlier. By the way, I looked it up afterwards because I said like, oh, I think this is Cave Story Plus, and I know that before it was Cave Story, so I guess this game is completing the story from there. And no, Cave Story was the original. Cave Story Plus is essentially like a, not a remaster, but a slightly improved version. So I misunderstood. They're just alluding to events that are outside of the scope of the story. Is it gonna do the you have to power down thing? It looks like it is. Tell you what, we'll sit here and have final thoughts while looking at this screen. So yeah, this game, to my understanding, the original version came out in 2004. This version came out 5 years later, 2011. It This was a successful Metroidvania indie game in a time where that wasn't really a thing. Like, this predates Hollow Knight by a huge margin. Metroid, the series, was kind of dead. Castlevania, the series, had kind of lost its way. Indie games as a whole were still sort of finding their footing, figuring out what was possible. There was a lot of resistance to going back to sprite art at the time. A lot of people in mid 2000s, early 2010s were like, if this is a regression to go back to pixel art and make 2D games. Everything should be 3D. And that now we know, like, hey, that's a stupid idea. Like, there's definitely a place for good pixel art. But this game helped sort of pave the way for other indies to come along and be like, hey, we can succeed here. One person can make a game and it can be compelling and people will love it. And that's good. Because it's made by one dude, there's a lot of like concessions to just like, hey, you need to be practical, you need to be pragmatic. The character has relatively few poses, but they're designed to like, have big face, be very recognizable at a distance, stuff like that. If the main character, if the hero looked like the mom right beside him, I don't think this game would have been nearly as successful. The more chibi proportions really help add to the appeal of the character, I guess. And this game is largely carried by its appeal. So let's talk about like game structure a little bit. This is a Metroidvania. You're finding upgrades, getting items in order to progress. It doesn't have the non-linearity that Metroidvanias usually have. This is a much more do this stage, now do this stage, than most Metroidvanias. Now, that's not to say it's not a valid Metroidvania. It is. And it does offer you some choices and non-linearity. Obviously, we didn't find all of the health upgrades. I don't think we even found all of the ammo upgrades. There's definitely secrets and stuff, but you can see, especially in like when you look at the maps, this game is struggling with the hallway problem that we've talked about before, where you get these very like linear levels that like there's one way through these, and there's secrets hidden along the way, but they're not like branches, loops. There's not like, hey, I'm gonna go check out this totally optional side area. At least not that I'm aware of. It's possible that there are whole side areas that I never saw in this game, but I'm not aware of them. So yeah, it is a Metroidvania. It's just not as like freeform as it usually becomes. It's kind of funny, like, as an example, this game does have the classic Metroidvania get 3 MacGuffins. When we need to make the booster rocket thing, we need to go get 3 things. But unlike most Metroidvanias nowadays, it's not, hey, go find these 3 things. We're going to mark them on the map, and you're free to get them in whatever order you want. It is, go get this part, now go get this part, now go get this part. So, following the formula of Metroidvanias, but maybe a little more linear than a lot of them. If this game was made today, I think it would be a lot more, hey, find the teleporter coordinates and then do the teleporter stuff in any sequence you want. That does make telling a story a lot harder. This game has a very clear, like, narrative going on. This character shows up, helps you, dies. This character shows up, helps you, dies. And if the game was less linear, it would be much harder to tell that same story. So, make of it what you will. I liked that the game had, I liked the upgrades in the game. Getting the booster jump felt really good, really opened up our options. Because the game was pretty linear, it didn't open it up the way that it typically would in a Metroidvania, where you're like, oh shit, I need to go back there and get this. But it did make things, it was fun, still delivered that feeling of getting stronger. Same way with finding more weapons, even though I barely used, like, the blade that we got, I think we used that like 4 times. We barely touched the additional weaponry that we acquired. We mostly stuck to our gun, and then once we got the machine gun version, we mostly stuck with that. The exception being the rockets, just because the rockets did so much punch. We used those in boss fights, sort of unloaded on enemies, but in general, I didn't really take advantage of the weapons, and that's mostly on me. That's me being lazy. It's easier to face tank your way through the game by just holding down the trigger. Speaking of, though, definitely I would recommend, if you're playing on controller, do some custom bindings so that the triggers and the bumpers also do the same things as the face buttons. This would have been a much harder game if I was trying to use A and B to jump and fire at the same time. Having my thumb on A and my pointer finger on the bumper made the controls feel better. Let's see. In general, controls were fine, though. I'm a little surprised that we didn't get more traversal abilities. Like, really, your abilities, like, you get keys, obviously. You get the booster. You get extra weapons. You get the bubble, though the bubble lets us go through that water area, but, like, it didn't really, like, unlock anything for it. It was just a necessary step into the sequence of levels. And again, that sort of goes back to this game is fairly linear. And so getting unlocks doesn't sort of like open the world up the way that you would in Hollow Knight or, Metroid Dread or whatever. Let's see. Music. I liked the music in this game. It felt maybe actually a little too high energy for me, which is a strange criticism to have for a video game. But like going into the Bushlands and stuff, I was like, this is like a really like high energy thing, and it feels like maybe it should be a little lower energy. But that's a matter of taste. I'm an old man. Pixel art, lovely. Sound effects were good. Some of them did get a little grating, like the helicopter there at the end, for example. Like, it's just one dude. Sound effects is probably not his favorite thing to work on. I get it. Like, no real complaints about the sound effects. Just wasn't stellar. Let's talk about the maps. So I mentioned already how the levels are fairly corridor-y. Like, there's not a lot of branching paths or loops or verticality. They tend to be just hallways, and then maybe they loop down and go back the other way. Um, because of how linear the game is, it didn't super matter that the maps were all like, hey, you found the map upgrade that lets you see maps at all. Now, whenever you're in an area, you can just see the whole map immediately. Like, that wasn't devastating to the design of the game or anything, but it did feel it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, right? Like, I really like having maps that get filled in as I explore and, let me know, hey, I need to explore over here. I haven't been there yet. Um, Let me track stuff down, and it gives more of a sense of exploration. And this game didn't have a ton of that. Again, largely back to the linearity thing. Um, I didn't feel like I was choosing where to explore so much as I was in a mine cart barreling down some tracks, and like, hey, the plot requires you to go to this place next. Um, yeah, I liked how to phrase this. I liked that the enemies, like I was kind of constantly encouraged to engage with the enemies, partially in order to keep my weapon level up. We'll come back to that. Um, but also, I seeing, hey, there's an achievement that we're working towards for doing a certain amount of damage. So I'm just going to keep doing damage to see if we get to that achievement. I don't think we got even close. Um, but that was enough to keep me engaged with killing enemies. I personally would have preferred if enemies were dropping some cash. It's fine that they weren't. I just personally would have preferred that. And we can sort of see hints of that in the game design when we go to the Guida, the roach people. When we go to the shop and the guy's like, "Here, I'll just give this to you. It's not like you've got any money." And I'm like, "Did there used to be money and he removed it, or what's the story here?" That's a somewhat. Is he just lampshading the fact that he decided not to have money? Um, that felt a little strange. Um, Money does introduce a lot of potentially bad behavior in players, and it is more values to keep track of and save and all that. So I get it, but it's kind of a missed opportunity, right? Like it feels good to get some money and spend it to buy upgrades for yourself and make choices about your own loadout and all that. Um, I would have loved to have gotten a magnet, by the way. Because there wasn't money, it wasn't as big a deal, but an ability that would pull hearts and ammo and experience towards me, um, rather than me having to specifically go jump over it and chase it down, would have been great. Gathering Swarm is constantly on when I'm playing Hollow Knight. Um, so let's talk about the experience thing. The weapons de-leveling when you take damage is a really interesting idea that felt pretty bad. Um, it definitely kept me on my toes. As a mechanic, it functioned. It kept me on my toes. It made me um, go after the experience, engage with enemies, be more cautious. It fulfilled the function that I think it was trying to fulfill. It just still felt bad. Um, and it sucks that you can have a mechanic that you're like, on paper I agree, but in practice, in my heart of hearts, I don't like this, and I kind of wish it wasn't here, or I wish there was something I could do about it. We did get the upgrade that halved how much you de-leveled, which is great. I'm very glad that that's in the game. Um, I wish there was more, like a great example of if there had been money in the game that we could have had a vendor that's like, hey, you spend enough money with me and we'll lock the lowest level that your weapon can go. And so hey, now the minimum level for your machine gun is level 1. Hey, now you spend a lot of money and your minimum level is level 2 and stuff like that. I would have happily done that. This game probably could have gotten a couple more hours out of me just running around getting money, looking for treasure chests and stuff, trying to do something like that. So it didn't have it, that's fine. The game didn't need it. The game, obviously, is more like narrative driven, it's more linear. I just wish that it had been a little more Metroid-y, I guess. Um, but yeah, overall, really fun game. I wish the character wasn't quite so slidey. There's a lot of inertia. Like, I'm pretty sure that the way that this is working under the hood is like Box 2D, maybe. The character has a lot of like, once you're moving, once you've got some inertia, you have trouble stopping. And you can see that with the jump. If you tried to like immediately double jump, use the booster, you wouldn't really get much. But if you jump and give yourself a fraction of a second and then booster, you'll get much higher, because you've got that inertia going for you. So I personally find the slippy controls not so great, which is ironic. The platformers I've made in the past have been physics driven and have had slippy characters. It's something that, because I've written code and fought with it and been unhappy with my own character controllers, I'm maybe a little extra sensitive to it, and tight platformer controls are really important to me at this point. I really appreciate them when they're there. So yeah, this game's doing the thing where you get to the end screen and then you can't continue. There's no, like, I'm hitting all the buttons and nothing's happening. So what we have to do is quit to the main menu. Any unsaved progress will be lost. I kind of hate that pattern. That's a very retro thing, and I'm glad that it's mostly gone. I'm curious what this machine gun challenge is. Oh. Egg race. Okay. Recording replay, huh? Alright, I was planning on... Oh. The controls work differently than I expect. Grade B. Alright. I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. Probably gonna die here. Alright, I kind of feel like I'm undermining my own ending here, but... Oh, there's invisible walls. No! Alright, you've died. No. I do feel like I'm That's a fun little extra thing, but it's kind of undermining me trying to end this episode. Yeah, Cave Story. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. It's been a short and sweet one. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next series. Bye!